The traditional texts are date information, outdated, the amount they are printed, and the digital preference provide a superior pedagogy experience. Result. This house believes that digital learning platforms should replace the traditional textbooks in secondary schools. We team affirmative, we look at the aim that is to bridge the gap between how students live digitally and how they learn, analogy ensuring school relevant and engaging. As we see that digital learning platforms, these are integrated online environments, e.g. classroom canvas, models that provide interactive content, assessments, and tracking, unlike a simple PDF profile, usually includes multimedia, adaptive learning algorithms, and collaborative tools. These digital learning platforms started in 1980s and accelerated in early 2000s, where the students are given that updated information through the digital learning platforms. We see that these textbooks that we are reading, they are outdated and they have errors and take years to be updated. And another thing is traditional textbooks. Physical printed instructional books, they are characterized by a linear structure, static content, and a one-size-fits-all approach to the curriculum. This is where we see that these things have errors and take years to be updated. We see that, like in 1940s, through our research engine, learner.sparknet.com, 88% of the students who had known that Pluto was not considered as a planet, we see that the textbooks took a long time to be updated, but the digital learning platforms were updated at that very moment. Secondary school, typical educational institutions for students aged 11 to 18. This context is crucial because students at this age are developing independent study habits and digital literacy, but still require structured English, like those schools that are given coding, problem solving, and digital literacy. So we see the concept where these secondary schools have that age to provide those schools like in coding, problem solving, and digital literacy. And only the way to go is digital learning platforms that we have written in affirmative. The word replace, this is operator of the motion. It implies a total phase out of printed textbooks as the primary source of curriculum delivery. Because these products or these textbooks they should be replaced because they will have those errors and they take a long time to be updated. I am going to rely on we are going to rely on accessibility and inclusive data driven personalization. I lay my case.
Result. This house believes that digital learning platforms should replace traditional textbooks in secondary schools. Dear judges, the team affirmatives, they have said that secondary schools are the second level of education and these learners are in the age of 11 to 18 years. But we believe that secondary school learners, they are in age of 13 to 24 years. They have talked about updated information. Dear judges, we are saying that these books have editions whereby this edition cannot talk about, they can talk about the same, but in different meanings. They have talked about errors. Yes, we believe that they have errors, some, but not all. Yes, but they have also book editions. You cannot tell me that the MK will talk about the same thing. That error which was made in the MK will be the same error that will be made in the Baruch. Dear judges, first we are saying that textbooks should not be replaced by by digital learning platforms. Not allowed. Reason being, dear judges, look at this. The digital learning platforms, they require electricity. First of all, we are looking at rural areas whereby electricity is a challenge and is a problem. 2, we are looking at network. The network of Uganda is still down. 3, we are looking at and Wi-Fi. The team affirmative, they have not talked about who is to pay the Wi-Fi of the school. Is the government going to pay or the parents. We are seeing that some parents, they cannot even afford buying salt every day. But how can they buy that of 1,000 daily? Not allowed. But a textbook doesn't require electricity. A textbook doesn't require network. And a textbook doesn't require data. You cannot tell me that using a textbook requires data. How? And look at these judges. You not allowed. You are not. You look at this. You can throw a textbook down and you throw a PC down. Which one will be damaged and which one will not be damaged? Two, you cannot tell me that reading a textbook requires electricity. No, you just go in the library, you get your textbook, go to where you can get comfort, you can become comfortable and read your textbook and understand. Not allowed. We are saying that, dear judges, the team affirmatives, they don't know that they are creating a big gap between poor and rich students. Dear judges, look at this. Moreover, 700 schools, they are in urban areas, but 5,000 schools, they are in rural areas. That means 70% they are in rural areas, whereby they cannot even afford buying data for 1,000 daily. They cannot afford, take a scenario, the parent has 6 students in senior 4, 2 are in senior 3, 1 is in senior 1. How will a student be how will a parent be able to buy laptops and computers daily? I beg to submit.
Begin in 1, 2, 3. The panel. The first speaker from the negative side has said that the age limit for secondary school is 11 to 24 years. And is going to secondary at 11 a problem. When I might be that I jumped the big class nursery school, then I go to secondary at a low age. They say they came here and assured us that these textbooks have errors. They came here and assured us. They even opposed themselves by saying that they have errors. How can we rely on people who are believe that textbooks have errors? They say the poor and the rich, but how can you afford school fees of 1 M and fail to afford that of 500? It is impossible. They came here and told that laptops are expensive, forgetting that the money we use in printing, shipping, and storage of these textbooks. They came here and told us that textbooks are better, but are they really better for the blind? Here is how we come. My first speaker said that we are going to rely on accessibility, inclusivity, and data-driven personalization. We see that 70% of students with disabilities use learning platforms for education, like Duolingo, Ubongo, and this help them in education. If we start to put these digital learning platforms down, what are we going to do for these students? Are we leaving them behind? We're prioritizing the poor and leaving the blind. Imagine me, who has no sightedness and no short-sightedness. What am I going to do if they give me a textbook that can't even magnetize? That cannot even the font size is permanent. All of this. I don't know even how to say this. But these digital learning platforms are easier to reach and use for everyone. Us who struggle with reading, digital learning platforms cater for us to read text to speech. Us who don't see well, these digital learning platforms help us through Zooming. So, digital learning platforms require not a device and is anytime, anywhere. I beg to
They are complaining about the fact that textbooks are up there. They are not updated as quick as the internet, which could be true, but then I still wonder Are we still using the same textbooks that were happening in the 1990s, things that they are editions? So we are moving on the same pace as the internet. That is it. Judges, they are talking about the fact that walking a long journey with a bag of books. But remember, success never comes from a document, and what you read is what you saw. For them, what they call better education is what they want to say that a learner is using a computer, and then from promptly is disrupted by the notification, leaves the education, and goes to the notifications away. That's what they call better education. Look at this. They are talking about the fact that how can a mother fail to pay, how can a mother pay 1 M at school fees and fail to buy that of 500? It could be true. Just look at this. That's why we are negating this to the fullest. They are preparing for money for work in urban areas. Look at this, even 1 game. Deep down the schools people are paying just 500, just if you take care for just as tuition and the school they chase them back to school fees, and then you tell that person to buy data for 100 daily. I think that is impossible. It cannot work in education. Judges, they're talking about the fact that and they're talking about the blindness, and it is simple. But then, a question: can also a person who is blind use a PC, of which it emits a lot of radiation to the eyes? It is impossible. So in this case, we should usually go on and use our textbooks. So look at these stages what they're catering for. We are looking at the people in Uganda who are living under deep and remote areas, and it is the truth. Look at this. All over 7,000 schools in Uganda, secondary schools, 5,000 of them are in remote areas. And then you talk about digitalization. It could be true and you want it to be in higher school and curriculum, but then what extent is it going to be effective? Look at these judges. No electricity, they rely on electricity. When if you use a power bank, suppose you use a goes over for a full week, what are you going to do? Is a power bank rechargeable or course it is no? So electricity for a full week in the society. They use what we can call networks. Yeah, even if there's electricity in an area, but what about the networks? From here, from Kampala, going deep down the remote areas, there's no electricity. No electricity. Together with the connection and the internet, that is true and it is visible. So with no connections, look at this. In a scenario in 2019, most of the students use digital learning platforms such that they can submit their work to the teachers from marking, but then 70% of them will be text why the exam will not bring to the examiners for their work, for their marks, they have retext why due to connectivity because they're living in remote areas. So in this case, as negatives, we believe that we should not reach a gap between the rich and the poor. Education is a right to remember. Every person has a right to access education. But if you go on and make it to be only for rich people, then the value education is not very clear. You see what? Disseminating is soon in Uganda. In this case, the looking at the effectiveness and because efficiency and a PC is over 1 game, and then a textbook is just over 20K, 20K. You can buy me over 5 BSs, that is biology, medical science, and I use them and no updating them. Look at this. A textbook never asks you for data. If you buy your BS at just 20K, you use it more effectively if you're serious. And then look at the phone. You'll be having your data. You don't want to go to TikTok. Yes, you're going to end this in just a minute. They are done. So this education, or just you're just making up other ways for other things. In this case, negative 6 it all I waste.
3, I begin. This house believes that digital learning platforms should replace traditional textbooks in secondary school. As we are farmers, we grant that. They negate a scheme and say that electricity in rural areas. That's a good point. If we say electricity in rural areas, it is a very good point because the government of Uganda is putting electricity in each and everywhere because the industrialization in Uganda is getting bigger, meaning electricity is being transformed into each and every area. If we say electricity, it's a very basic point. They're talking about internet expenses. Internet expenses, nowadays, internet is being accessed with only 500 shillings. Someone can get an internet. That is not that expensive. If we are talking about laptops and then comparing laptops to books, we are talking about laptops you can use it for over and over like 3 years to come. But then if you're talking about the course, then if you come to our Uganda curriculum, the Uganda curriculum, if you come to chemistry, each and every year things are changing. Meaning you have to buy new books at each and every year. That's what you're saying. That is expending money. So please, I beg you, like digital platforms have done more good than harm. We see that 70% of Makerere first class grade use the digital learning platforms in Uganda because that is easy to access. It is very easy to access. They also say that means that how can the blind actually use the textbooks? If we go to digital platforms, We also use what we call the videos. They can listen and learn, whereby that is too easy. You cannot go to narrate the story to them. They are going to go. Actually, they are going to sleep. But if you put on the digital learning platforms and invest in the videos, they are going to listen and learn. We cannot use it at the same pace. They say that we can use books at the same pace with the digital learning platforms. We are talking about the books. These books are nothing actually, because if we come to the physical work, the work that I'm going to get on the digital learning platforms, it is totally different from the work that is going to be invested in the book, whereby I'm going to get full training more than the ones in the book, whereby the digital learning platforms are better than the books. They should be replaced with the textbooks. Tell me, now if I am a guy at a village whereby I'm having my phone, I'm having my laptop, and all in Kampala, we are using the same platform. We are going to get the same work. And I'm using a different phone, maybe Barrow, and you're using MK. We are not going to get the same work. But then everyone is going to be part. But if you're using the digital learning platforms, we are going to get the same work. Everybody, either I'm in Chilosha or in Kampala, we are going to all do the same work with the same knowledge and idea. So digital platforms should replace the textbooks. I will make case.
Thank you.
Start. Well, education is just a right that must be enjoyed by every person in Uganda. Pano, the affirmatives are coming here speaking all what they are speaking, but Pano, first team negatives, we believe that this is a debate and it must agree some of their points. And I will. But the time we are talking about what their main point is just about updates of what? Yes, Pano will agree with you that your information is always updated. But not leaving you behind, but the Ministry of Education every year, as in the early financial year, put some money that is used to refund or to bring back or to republish the new books. When they release a new curriculum in Uganda, we see that they brought new textbooks for the new curriculum. But the time we talk about people can afford school fees of 1M, then I laugh at you. But when our fees, they might not be reaching that I have of that game. But when some parents are failing to raise that money, then how can you say that the person can raise? If somebody can raise that year, how can that person raise what? That 1M for school fees. And looking at the person, that money that is for school fees, we are having the very books that have satellite books in Uganda. That's why every publishers is going to report along Kampala Road. So we will not ship anything. But the time we talk about but for them, they're telling me, oh, I listen. I wonder, they come and tell us that if our person is blind, can listen and what? And can listen to what they are, to the video, maybe something like that. But when I agree with you, but how about these teachers, they're not telling these books by a teacher. All our teachers will be telling you that we are being held by the teachers. So it's really, even the teacher can still delight. Even the teacher can still talk and somebody listens. So that point cannot stand. The time we talk about the internet being cheaper, we agree in some areas. Stop looking in areas that are better. We should also look in areas that are still what? The downwards. And then about that we are going to spend money buying the books and we agree with you. But meaning behind that these gadgets, all these tools, they must be updated each and every year. And which updation needs money. And the time we're talking about books and learning, then I wonder, right now we are having the prime ministers, we are having the doctors, we are having the very education teachers who are just told by your books, not by a piece of Then those came and say that they had tried it in 1990, then collapsed in 2000s. Yes, why did it collapse? Yes, and we look at the countries like Kenya that tried until they failed. But the country have trash all the information. But who's gonna be funding their what? But because it's a policy motion, who's gonna be funding all their programs? And I believe Uganda is facing most of the corruption. If the Uganda is facing corruption, who these things who be monitoring these textbooks and all these that they switch to? You see, if somebody can just corrupt the iron sheets, how about these gadgets? So, we believe that for we the two affirmatives win the negatives win the debate because we are looking at every person and he's in here, that person is category. And if I look at with all of the to submit.
We are in a country where they are crying for gadgets, but remember gadgets need electricity, of which are facing a problem. Electrification, they said it in their switches, but then what extent is it effective? And that's like what, how many rural areas have electricity in Uganda right now? That's a question for them. Yeah, they need electricity, they need connectivity, and it's a problem in Uganda together with Wi-Fi and data, which are too expensive. Remember, we have ministers, prime ministers, we have doctors, physicians, engineers who started using textbooks in our country because for them they are reliable, because for them they are for every person to use, and they are too cheap in this case. They're even helping us to have our education for everybody as a target in our country as an university that education is alright. Therefore, textbooks are trying to get better, it being alright, stopping or bridging that gap between the poor and the rich for them to access education at a high rate and equal distribution and rate. Still negatives on it all.
I'm to begin in 1, 2, 3. The affirmative side came here and told us that the laptops are expensive, and we told them it can be bought. You can buy one laptop and you own a senior 1 to senior 6 library instead of buying textbook from senior 1 to senior 6, which is better, buying a laptop. They came here and told us that data is expensive, and we told them to pay school fees and leave the burdens for us. They came here and told us about MPray, yet we even don't know about it. But we told them about God, which everyone knows that teaches. They came here and said that books are better for memory, yet we told them that digital platforms aren't just for reading, they are also for doing, preparing us for future. They came here and told us that poor and rich calling it equality, yet they are leaving people with disabilities behind. So we beg to win because we better for everyone.
The digital platforms, this will develop problem solving skills and 4D things that are relevant to this time. Another significant thing they say is that cost, because cost is one of the biggest clashes in how that clash is born. I think the thing that brings the clash of minorities is the thing that argues opposition. Why? Because they're able to prove to some extent that there is some kind of inequality in terms of affordability, what's most and what not, in terms of students or children who come from families or areas where that's a role, that's the clash of cost versus the value that digital